Stop blaming circumstances for the fact that your life is not working. I'm going to tell you something about life. It's a synonym for circumstances. like everybody has circumstances. Can I show you something about circumstances, though? This is really cool. I'm going to go to my digital blackboard and show you something really cool about circumstances. So, the word circumstance is a compound word. It means circle and to stand. So, when you're blaming circumstances, what you're doing is you're focused on the things that are surrounding you while you're standing still. Are y'all tracking? Now, here's something interesting the Bible says. It says that a wise man's eyes are in his head. A wise man's eyes are where? In his head. Not on the front of his head. In his head. Why? Because God understands something we have yet to figure out. We actually see with our mind. Our eyes are just one of the tools our mind uses to see.
That's good.
Now, there are two categories of animals, and they both begin with a P. What are they? Predator and prey. Okay. Do you know you can look at an animal and tell whether it's, even predators can be prey, but an animal that's primarily prey has a very different characteristic than an animal that's predominantly a predator. What's the differentiation? The eyes. The predator's eyes are in the front of its head so it can see what it's pursuing. The prey's eyes are on the side of its head so it can see what's being pursued. See, are you tracking? So, everybody take your fingers like this. Put them out like this. Look at both fingers at the same time with your peripheral vision. Keep going until you can still see. Don't go past where you can see both fingers. Like my fingers are right there. I can still see both of them. Right? So my peripheral vision is about 162. Maybe 172. Right? But it's not 180. Right? It's not 180. Like I can't see both. Well, you know what? No, I can't. It's not 100. It's not 180. I was like, I see that one. Nope, I don't see that one. Nope. Right? So it's, I can't see both. When it's out here, I can't see both of them. Okay. So I can't. But if an animal has its eyes on the side of its head, it can probably see about 160 degrees that way and 160 degrees that way. It can see everything in the circle. Are y'all tracking? Yes. So, one of the things I believe that we have as human beings that animals don't have is we get to determine whether we're going to be predators or whether we're going to be prey. What is the determining factor? If we are going to be if we're going to be prey in life, if we're going to be prey, not prey, this kind of prey, but if we're going to be prey, P-R-E-Y, then we are so focused on the circumstances that are surrounding us that it causes us to stand still. But if we want to break out of our circumstances, we have to look at what's in front of us. That thing called purpose. And we must passionately pursue our purpose so we can break out of the circle of sameness and no longer be surrounded by circumstances. That right there will change your life. See, when we blame circumstances, we're buying into this idea that all circumstances are the same, or that all factors are the same. But there are two types of factors. There are contributing factors, and this goes very well with what we just talked about. Contributing factors, I have to write slower. Factors, and there are determining factors. The difference between a contributing factor and a determining factor is contributing factors are all outside of us, but determining factors are all inside of us. We can't control contributing factors, but we can always control determining factors. What does that mean? I can't control what happens to me, but I can control what meaning I'm going to assign to the thing that happens to me. That's a determining factor. I can't control what happens to me, but I can control what I'm going to do next. I can control what I'm going to focus on. For instance, I had polio as an infant, so I walk with a brace on my leg, I walk with a limp. I only notice it if I'm walking past a door and I see the reflection of how I walk. Because to me, how I walk feels as normal as how you walk feels to you. Okay? And so I had polio because I was born in a segregated hospital. My parents couldn't do anything about that because that's how it was here in Tampa back in 1961, right? So that is a contributing factor. But this brace is outside of me. The fact that I had polio, that's a physical circumstance. It's outside of me. What I'm going to do about it, what I'm going to focus on, what I'm going to allow that to mean, like I could say, like I was born in a segregated hospital, white people are evil. That could be the conclusion I come to, right? Well, let's come to what conclusion? White people are evil. Okay. Or I could come to, life ain't fair. Life's been so unfair to me. I'm so bitter and angry because other people can run and I can't run. Yeah, but I can fight. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so because when you can't run, you learn how to fight. Yeah. Okay, so I could cause it to mean God doesn't care about me, or I could come to the conclusion there's no such thing as God. How could a loving God let this happen to me? Am I keeping it real? Yes. Oh, okay, good. Just wanted to make sure I was keeping it real. But what if I conclude, because here's the reality. I am going to assign a meaning to the fact that I had polio, and I've got 6 brothers and none of them had polio. I am going to assign a meaning to the fact that I was born in a segregated hospital when other people who are my age right now were allowed to be born in Tampa General and they didn't have polio. This was after the polio vaccine. So you say, Myron, what are you saying? I'm saying, I'm the one that's ultimately going to assign the meaning to what this contributing factor means. So what if I decide it means that God in his sovereign wisdom, who created my assignment and then created me for that assignment, had something for me to do that was so important that he didn't want me, as athletic as I am, and I'm quite athletic, he didn't want me to be distracted by sports. And so he ordained that the enemy would afflict me physically, thinking that it would stop me. But God ordained that the enemy do that so that my body would slow down, so my brain could speed up, so I could serve millions of people one day. Now, I'm not saying that's the way it is, but I'm saying I can assign that meaning to it, and guess what that does? That gives me the ability to use it instead of being used by it. Yes. Anyway, I could give you other examples. Frederick Douglass was born a slave in a time when it was illegal for him to learn how to read. But yet, he worked. His master's wife was teaching him how to read. If you've never read a narrative, I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Asian, blah blah. You could be polka dot or pinstripe for all I care. It'll change your life if you read a narrative in the life of Frederick Douglass. You talk about personal development, you've never seen it on that level. Frederick Douglass, his master's wife was teaching him how to read. His master came in one day and caught his wife teaching these slave children how to read. He said, "Woman, are you out your mind? You can't teach a slave how to read. If you teach these slaves how to read, they're going to discover books. If they discover books, they're going to understand that the world is so much bigger than the world they live in now, they'll never be content to be a slave again. And whatever you do, don't you let them read the Bible." Frederick Douglass was about 6. And at 6, he had the wherewithal to think, if this man who owns me, who sold my mother away from me, who could kill me and not be prosecuted, if he is that dead set on me not learning how to read, it is the most important thing I must learn to do. Wow. And so you know what he did? He worked at the big house. So he'd take the leftovers from his master's table and he would trade the little poor white children in the neighborhood in exchange for them teaching him how to understand letters. And every time he found a piece of paper on the ground with writing in it, and every time he found a newspaper, and every time he found a book, he would take it back to his slave quarters and he would practice his reading by candlelight. He became so eloquent that Well, first of all, he learned some new skills. He learned the skill of carpentry. He started building things. He started selling the things that he built. When he sold the things that he built, he saved up enough money to buy his freedom. And when he bought his freedom, he had it stolen from him. And then he worked and saved up enough money to buy his freedom again, had it stolen from him again. And then he worked and saved up enough money to buy his freedom. And then he was finally a free man. And when he was free, he wasn't content just to be free, because he knew the horrors of slavery. And he spent the rest of his life as an abolitionist, gaining audiences with the President of the United States and the Queen of England, and was instrumental in the abolition of the slave trade in the United States of America and England. And this is a guy who was born a slave. And now we think we have an excuse. Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop believing that contributing factors are determining factors.